Hi, I'm Dr. Ben Beyer. I'm the USA sorghum breeding lead for Advanta and Alta Seeds, and I'm here with Tanner Anotonick again. And in this section of Sorghum Frontiers, we're going to talk about our Aphix product lineup.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We sit here in 2021 looking forward to the 2022 growing season. And from where we were a few years back with only one Aphix designated hybrid in the lineup, now we've got 6, filling all the different maturities. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask questions to Dr. Ben and ask him about how we got these hybrids to the lineup, where they might be fits, and what he's doing down the line. Ben, one of the questions I get quite a bit from growers is, with us having a robust portfolio and leading the industry in sugarcane aphid tolerant hybrids, how did you get us there? How do we have so many products in our portfolio?
As with everything in breeding, it all starts with the data. So our #1 breeding goal is yield potential. Now, when the sugarcane aphid hit, we started to notice a large number of the hybrids that we had in testing at that time had some level of sugarcane aphid tolerance. From there, we started screening individual parents to find out which ones had the highest levels of sugarcane aphid tolerance. And some of this is available because of our diverse genetics that we have in our portfolio.
And now, are we looking at multiple parent lines or is it set? What are we looking at there?
We are looking at multiple parent lines. So to my knowledge, a lot of the industry is using the sugarcane aphid tolerance that comes from the pollinator side of the hybrid. But in our screening, we found sources of tolerance with our proprietary germplasm on not only the males, but also the females. And that's been a big game changer for us because new hybrids like G1153, that one has sugarcane aphid tolerance on both the male and the female.
That's really exciting, and it does explain too why we have such a broad portfolio and different maturities, because we're pulling those from so many different sources. You know, I know back in 2016 and early 2017, Advanta made the decision to move our molecular lab back here to the US at your main breeding facility there in College Station. Are you utilizing that molecular lab at all in your aphid tolerant screening?
Oh, very much so. We've mapped out our primary sources of sugarcane aphid tolerance to be able to use marker assisted selection, and we are using that in the breeding program. Specifically on F2 and F3 populations to make sure that we're advancing individual plants that carry strong levels of sugarcane aphid tolerance. In addition to that, we have some other projects in that same realm where some of the additional sources we're checking to see, is it the same genes, or, you know, in our diverse germplasm that I referenced earlier, are we having multiple genes that give us that strong sugarcane aphid tolerance?
Okay. So now I was in College Station back at end of June, 1st of July, and I was taking guys through plots and it was looking just like this. We were colored, we were almost at harvest. And at that same time, I saw your planter out there running. What'd you have your team doing out there?
That's a very good question, Tanner. We've noticed specifically in the USA that a lot of the sugarcane aphid infestations come at pre or post flowering. In terms of early stages at planting, you can use a seed applied insecticide, which I highly recommend. But we do those late planted nurseries because whenever we see the highest levels of sugarcane aphid pressure in College Station, it's typically in September. Now, there's not sorghum growing in South and Central Texas typically in September. So by doing that late planting, we get the sorghum plots for the screening nursery to pre or post flowering when that aphid pressure gets really high. And then we're really able to see the genetic differences among not only our materials, but the competition as well. And we also repeat that same process at our breeding station in central Mexico and Irapuato.
Very interesting. So now I know when we talk sugarcane aphid tolerance, especially to industry leaders or to growers, we're typically talking about grain sorghum. But I know we also have a robust forage portfolio. Are you doing anything with our forages on that side?
Of course. We do have an Aphix hybrid on the forage side. It's F8322. That hybrid was developed in my program when we were back here in Hereford. And what's key about that one is the sugarcane aphid tolerance is coming from the female. That hybrid specifically, when we had very high pressure here in Hereford in 2016, you know, you had hybrids that were shiny from all the honeydew on either side of the plot. So you had very high aphid pressure on either side of it. But every one of those plots of that hybrid was experimental, was nice clean leaves as we're seeing now in this Aphix AG1203.
And I know how important that is because we look at grain sorghum, and as long as we can keep the aphids out of the head, it's usually we can harvest it. But on these forages, more honeydew out there, the choppers don't want to get in. It's really a disaster for our forage guys. Now, Ben, as we look forward to this 2022 growing season, I know you've got a lot of new hybrids entering the portfolio. Is there anything new with that Aphix designation growers should be looking at?
Sure. On the forage side, we have the S6520. This is a photoperiod sensitive BMR6 sorghum Sudan grass. It does have our Aphix level designation, so industry leading sugarcane aphid tolerance. On the grain side, for a conventional hybrid, we have the G2165. This one works very well from South Texas through Central Kansas. It's a medium maturity. In addition to that, we also have the G2168, which is an iGrowth and Aphix hybrid. And this one also works well from South and Central Texas all through the Plains region.
Now, Dr. Ben, as we look for when the aphids first popped up and we started doing the aphid tolerance screening, we had a lot of universities working on it. Have things changed since 2015 to now where we're at in 2021? What's the difference?
Back then in 2015, when we really started doing a lot of screening, a lot of it was done via growth chamber at the seedling stage. One of the things that we've changed with our late season planting at College Station and at Irapuato in central Mexico, where we also have a breeding station, is we plant later in the season. In College Station, we plant in the June-July timeframe, and that gets our sorghum to the pre or post flowering stages in September. And that's when we typically have our highest aphid pressure. So we get a very good result looking at not only our hybrids internally, but also being able to look at the competition. Tanner, what have you been seeing or hearing from growers this season in terms of sugarcane aphid pressure?
You know, I would say as we looked at the first part of the season, especially South Texas, Central Texas, and it may have been from that early freeze we got, we didn't see a lot of pressure early, but we did have a lot of delayed crops. And so then late in the season, we had guys having to go out and make applications to take care of the sugarcane aphid issue. What we've really seen though is serious pressure late in the season as we move north. This plot we're in here in Hereford actually had to have an application the other day because we do have susceptible grain sorghum hybrids and forages that help bring them in. And so we did see very heavy levels of infestation here, and you can go ahead and you can look at the sugarcane aphid tracking on NSP's website, and you can see all the locations we are finding aphids this year. The other day I was actually visiting with a new grower out of Arkansas, and he planted some of our 1203 that I'm standing in right now, and he was absolutely ecstatic about how well this product performed. He had to spray his competitor hybrid 2 times this season and never had to make an application for sugarcane aphids on his 1203. So we are getting success stories. So while we aren't seeing aphid pressure everywhere, where it's at, the Aphix designated products are standing out. Now, Dr. Ben, one of the issues I have as I'm going out and meeting with my retail partners and my customers is that they may have planted a competitor product in the past that was classified as aphid tolerant, but at the end of the day, they still had to go out and make that costly application to take care of an infestation. What advice would you give them?
Well, Tanner, I would definitely tell them to be taking a look at an Aphix hybrid. Naturally, we do more than just our late planted season screenings. We also verify the data with third parties, and so we still do some seedling screening as well. What we find with our Aphix products is that they have season-long sugarcane aphid tolerance. It's not just early season like in some of the competitors. From a global perspective, the sugarcane aphid has moved as far south as Argentina now. Those breeding programs that we have in other parts of the world, since we are a global company, we are sending lines that carry sugarcane aphid tolerance that were developed here in the United States to be used in hybrids for Central America and South America because of the amount of problems that they're having down there and just the season-long tolerance that we're getting with our hybrids.
Thank you, Ben. I do know the Aphix program originated here in North America in your program, and it's exciting to see that now trickle out to our other partner countries down in South America and Central America, and it really shows the tolerance that you've been able to breed into our portfolio. I will make sure I tell the growers, if you didn't have good success your first time with a competitor product, give one of these a shot, because you may have had a product with great early season tolerance, but lacked that end of season tolerance that our Aphix products do have. It has been very exciting to see this program go from just a hybrid or two, expand all the way up to a full portfolio, especially with that added aphid tolerance in an iGrowth hybrid. It's extremely exciting. I do get the luxury of talking to growers on a daily basis, all the way from South Texas to Western Kansas over to Arkansas, where they have extreme aphid pressure. And year in and year out, we have proof that these products do offer the industry-leading aphid tolerance growers need to have an easier, safer harvest. Thank you for joining us.